Hey, welcome to session 4 of Understanding the DISC Personality Profiles. My name is Nick Edwards. I'm a life leadership and business coach, guiding leaders to greater results. How do we achieve greater results? Well, we have to make sure we have the right people on the team in the right position, and we have to know how to communicate with them at the very best. Everyone speaks different language, and as leaders, the more we can understand their language, speak their language, and be able to show appreciation for who they are and the way that they value it the most, it adds so much value to the team and allows us to accomplish greater things. The reality is everyone wants to achieve greater results. Everyone wants to be successful in their job and in their career and what they're doing as a company. And the way we do that is by starting off by knowing ourselves, growing ourselves, and leading others well. In this session, we are going to look at the C personality profile type. We've looked at the D, the I, and the S, and now it's time to unpack and really to decode the C style. So as we've gone through this, what we understand is that the D is all about results. They're action-oriented and they're about results. The I is the big personality, the salesperson. They bring a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of energy, a lot of excitement to the team, and they are able to connect and to be able to sell and connect with people. The S's are steady. They are steady, loyal, hardworking. They get things done behind the scenes. They are great at support, and they are great at collaboration. And so if you think of a D as the CEO and the I as the salesperson and the S is the full workforce that's getting things done, the C would be our CFO. They are all about analytics. They're about the data. They're about the information, and they're all about making sure they are accurate in all that they do. So let's take a few minutes and unpack and really decode who is the C and how do we connect and communicate with them. If you are a C, you understand that you're all about accuracy. It's all about the details and making sure that things are perfect in all of their ways. They don't like assumptions. They don't like the gray. They love living in the black and white. It's this way or that way. They're very conscientious and very accurate in how they process information and how they see the world around them. They're the architect. They understand all the details. They're analytical, they're reserved, they're systematic, and they're accurate. Why is this so important? Well, if you have someone who's overseeing accounting, finances, and has to look at the details of the project, they can't look at the big picture. They can't just see how do we sell and connect, but they have to look at the details. You need the C personality type on your team. A lot of times they can be maybe even a little cold or reserved because they are so analytical in their information. It's not about connecting. It's not about selling. It's not even about driving forward. It's about making sure things are accurate at every single level. They're very systematic in their approach, and they make sure that no detail is too small and no detail is overlooked. They are driven by accuracy and logic. It's black and white. There's a right and wrong. And because of that, it leads to this fear of criticism or being wrong. Now, when they are criticized, and this fear is deep within their core, because you're not criticizing their work. They see it as you're criticizing who they are at their very core, that the work's not wrong, that they are wrong. And so a lot of times they can be slow in their process. They can be very methodical in their process and take more time to do a project because they can't take the risk of it not being perfect at every level. They're all about data-driven action and making decisions based upon the information to them. So they'll research and research and research some more. And it leads to some great strengths, and it leads to some difficult decisions and moving slow through the process. For the C, if you're a C, you feel this, and this is your voice of, I'm not comfortable sharing the data yet. I don't have all of the information. They want to make sure every system is perfect in all of its ways, and they will not allow you to rush them through the process. They may even say stuff like this: you showed my rough draft to the leadership team. I haven't finished it yet. It's a rough draft. I haven't cleaned it up yet. C's understand these things and understand that if a project isn't fully complete, it's not presentable. Now, the C has these great strengths, and with those great strengths come their struggles. They have very high standards for themselves, their work, and everyone around them. But the weakness with that, or the struggle that comes along with that, is that a lot of times they can get stuck with analysis paralysis. What do I mean by that? If you're a C and you want to go buy a new car and you want to make sure you know every detail of this potential car, and you can look at so many details that you can't determine which one is perfect. And because of that, you make no decision at all. The strength is you can look at the analysis and the information objectively without the emotions that are often tied to decisions. But with that, you can be very resistant to change or even resistant to new ideas. They are thorough problem solvers. They look deep into the weeds to find the most effective strategy and solution. But with that, they can be overcritical of people who've moved too fast, who don't see the full purpose, and do not understand every single point. Now, they create stability. They create stability because you need them, just like the S is the anchor. You need the person who's a C who makes sure every gap is filled in the project. See the value of who they are, of what they bring, and why it's so important to your team. Why you need a C? They bring information, they bring the analytical, objective view, and they don't allow their emotions to make decisions for them. Now, here's where it is so important. We've talked about this through this whole process, that the communication with the C is the key. The communication with different personality types is so important and allows us to be effective as leaders, allows us to be effective as a team, to make sure we communicate and speak their language. Now, here's things that are important for the C. Be clear. They don't like the gray. Don't be vague. Give them clear direction, clear objectives, and allow them to hit it. Provide structure. Provide them with accountability. Don't withhold information. C's love information. And the more information you give them, the more they will love you. So feed them that need for the information. Ensure they have access. Allow them time to process. And don't dismiss things before they are complete. The most important thing for this is give them time to be accurate and don't rush them through the process. So for our Ds, if you're a D and you're trying to communicate with a C on your team, this is incredibly important. Slow down. Slow down, D. It's okay. Allow them to ask questions. And where you see as the urgency, give them time to make decisions. Support them. Give them more information. Give them the opportunity to look at the data and make sure that they have the best information for you and your team. The most important thing as a D, you want to go 1, 2, 3, let's move on. Well, the C needs to ask questions. So give them the opportunity to ask the what, the how, the how, the how. Why are we doing it this way? What about this? Give them the opportunity to ask those questions. As the I, if you're interacting with a C, this is incredibly important. You have to move from enthusiasm and energy and excitement to evidence. And a lot of times the I can be a little bit ADD, a little bit of a flip it in their information, their need for information. This is what feeds the C the most. So slow down, ask for evidence, ask for more information, and feed them this need. Slow down your need for social and get to the information quicker. Don't be discouraged when the C is a little bit reserved. Honestly, as a C, they may look at the I as someone who is a little arrogant, a little overwhelming, and a little person who overlooks details for their own ego. That's how they may look at you, I. So slow down. Make sure that you feed their language of understanding the need for information. Now, as an S, you like harmony. You like making sure everything's at peace. But a lot of times, if you're communicating with a C, you have to allow there to be the pushback on not just harmony, but getting to the right information. When you're communicating with a C, be direct, be upfront, be extremely clear in your communication, and make sure not to leave anything ambiguous through the process. Appreciate their need for logic, appreciate their process, and give them the opportunity to push back and give the best answer rather than just the emotionally soft answer. C's working with C's, you love this. You love being able to communicate with others, but move from analysis to action. You can't continue to look at the information. The information has to move to action and move the organization to what is best through the process. Divide the information, uncover more work, but make sure it always leads to action. This is what's so important about understanding for the C. If you give them the right boundaries and the right system, they are effective. They are extremely effective in how they produce work. But if you give vague answers, if you do not give clear objectives, they feel the project is a waste and doesn't have a purpose. So give them clear objectives, give them a clear timeline, give them clear deadlines that they can hit in order that they will be the most effective. Make sure that you allow buy-in, clarity, and a willingness to troubleshoot through the process, and you will empower them to achieve incredible results. And the last thing I would tell you is that they bring a different motivation to the team. You have to motivate them differently by giving them autonomy. They want your feedback, but you have to give that feedback in such a way that's not critical of them, but of how it needs to move the company forward. Make sure that you speak their language. This is what's so important and so effective in knowing these different personality types. The power of precision is something that you need for your company. D's want to move fast and they want to make decisions. The I's want to sell and connect, and the S's want stability. But this precision is what will allow your company, your organization, your team to truly perform at their very best. As we've looked at these different personality types, it's incredibly important to know everyone speaks a different language. To be the best, to achieve great results, you have to be able to speak their language. Slow down, learn about yourself, understand your needs and how you need to communicate, and then work to effectively communicate with others. Hey, thank you so much for joining me for these 4 parts of understanding DISC profile. We've got 2 more sessions to go and how they all fit together. I look forward to seeing you on those 2 sessions, and you can always find out more information at myleadershipcoach.org.